It was here that God promised a land to Abraham. It was here that Moses challenged Pharaoh, freed his people, and parted the Red Sea. It was here that Joshua brought down walls with trumpets. That David, still a boy, struck down a giant with a stone. And that Solomon, the wisest king in history, built the sacred temple. On this very ground, Jesus was crucified. And today, that same ground turns into a parade route with floats, colorful flags, and a crowd dancing at the biggest LGBT parade in the Middle East. That's right, the biggest gay parade in the region. And do you know where it takes place? In Israel, a country where billion-dollar startups, air defense missiles, and ancient prayers all come out at the same time. The same land that was once called the Promised Land is now the stage for disputes among 3 religions, dozens of peoples, and millions of tourists. How can such a small country carry so much faith, so much war, and so much controversy? And why, after all, is it called the Holy Land? That's what you're about to find out now. 1. Where is Israel? Israel, a country so small it could fit inside the state of Sergipe in Brazil, but with such great importance that it remains at the center of all global discussions. Sounds like an exaggeration, right? But it isn't. Israel is squeezed right there in the Middle East, bordering Egypt, Jordan, Syria, Lebanon, and the Gaza Strip. In other words, it's at an explosive crossroads between Europe, Asia, and Africa. It's like that short guy at school that nobody messed with, because he was actually the one who stirred up the most trouble. Israel has only 22,000 square kilometers. It's a small country. It's only bigger than El Salvador, which has 21,000 square kilometers, but it's a military, technological, and spiritual powerhouse. While you're there deciding where to spend your weekend, Israel is deciding how it's going to survive the next war. The truth is, everyone is keeping an eye on this country. It's not just because it's modern or because it has cutting-edge technology. It's because the faith of billions of people was born there. And also because, over there, trouble never takes a vacation. Israel lives between holiness and chaos, between prayers and rockets, between the desert and innovation. And the question is, how can such a small country make so much noise around the world? And why do religious people love this country even if they've never set foot there? 2. Holy Land. You might not even be religious, you might have never set foot in a church, but be honest, have you ever imagined walking where Jesus walked? That's right. Israel isn't just a country, it's an open-air sanctuary. Every street, every stone, every corner seems to whisper stories from 2,000 years ago. And it all starts there, Jerusalem, the spiritual heart of 3 major religions, Christianity, Judaism, and Islam. For Christians, Jerusalem is both the starting point and the final destination. It was there that Jesus was arrested, crucified, buried, and resurrected. You walk along the Via Dolorosa and feel the weight of the path he took to the cross. When you reach the Holy Sepulchre, time seems to stand still. It's powerful, it's real, it's almost impossible not to get emotional. For Jews, there's the Western Wall, what's left of Solomon's ancient temple. And Muslims revere the Dome of the Rock, where, according to tradition, Muhammad ascended to heaven. All of this is in the same block. Just imagine the tension. Now picture the symbolic power of a place like that. It's as if heaven and earth touch right there. For many Christians, visiting Israel is more than just a trip, it's a reunion with their own faith. You step into Bethlehem, where Jesus was born, go to Capernaum, where he preached, pass through Galilee, where he performed miracles, and arrive at the Mount of Olives, where he wept for Jerusalem. It's hard to explain, but those who go say it's like seeing the Bible come to life with color and scent. You never read the scriptures the same way again, because now you've been there. For many, Israel is more than a tourist destination. It's a destination for the soul, because it's impossible not to feel something. And get this same place that's so sacred to Christians is also the heart of Judaism and the third holiest city in Islam after Mecca and Medina. The result: everybody loves it, everybody wants it, and nobody wants to give it up. The Holy Land has basically become like that family inheritance that 3 siblings all want at the same time, and none of them wants to share. And that's why they call it the Holy Land. Holy for the Jews, holy for the Christians, holy for the Muslims. The 3 biggest religions on the planet share the same land, the same past, and the same conflict. 3. A young country with a history that spans millennia. Israel is 76 years old, but its soul is thousands of years old. It's like that strong guy who looks young, but when he opens his mouth, you realize he's already faced the desert, war, kings, and prophets. He's seen empires rise and fall. It all starts with a promise, not from a king or a politician, but according to the Bible, from God himself. He said to a man named Abraham, "This land here will be yours, and your children's, and your children's children." The so-called Promised Land. This promise was passed down from generation to generation, from Abraham to Isaac, from Isaac to Jacob. And then it became a hope for an entire people who, for centuries, were enslaved in Egypt. That's when Moses comes into the picture, leading the Hebrew people out of Egypt. When Joshua, Moses' successor, led the Hebrew people toward the so-called Promised Land after wandering for 40 years in the Sinai desert. Then came King David, the one who became famous for defeating Goliath with a single stone. But he wasn't just a warrior. David was the leader who united the tribes and made Jerusalem the spiritual capital of the Jewish people, becoming the most beloved king in Jewish history. And then came his son, Solomon, the very one who had many women, 700 wives and 300 concubines. He was known for his wisdom and for building the first temple in Jerusalem, the most sacred place in the Jewish faith. But history, as always, took a difficult turn. There were invasions, the temple was destroyed, and the people were taken into exile. What followed were centuries of persecution, dispersion, and suffering. In 70 AD, the Romans destroyed Jerusalem once again, and the Jewish people were scattered across the world. Without land, without a home, but never abandoning the hope of one day returning. It was almost 2,000 years of waiting. 2,000 years carrying the identity of a people, even far from their homeland. The Jewish people were scattered around the world, without a home, without land. They were expelled, hated, survivors. And even so, they never let go of the dream of returning. Then came the 20th century, and with it, the Holocaust. The Jewish Holocaust was led by Adolf Hitler during the Nazi regime in Germany between 1933 and 1945. 6 million Jews killed in World War II. That was the breaking point. In 1948, after much negotiation, suffering, and international pressure, the State of Israel was officially created. The land where the country was born was under British control, but it was also inhabited by Palestinian Arabs who did not accept the division of the territory. The result? The day after independence, the neighboring countries attacked. Egypt, Jordan, Syria, Lebanon, all against Israel. It was David versus Goliath, but with tanks and planes. What seemed impossible became reality. Israel resisted, survived, and grew. It was the first of many wars. And then you realize something: Israel is not just a place, it's a symbol. For many Jews, returning there is fulfilling an ancient promise. In fact, there's a law called the Law of Return. Any Jew in the world can go to Israel and become a citizen. And don't think it's just kippa-wearing Jews coming from New York, no. There are Jews coming from Russia, France, Argentina, Brazil. Israel became a walking mosaic. People who had never met, speaking different languages, with distinct customs, but united by one idea: this is our home. And that's why the country might look new on the map, but when you set foot there, it feels like you're stepping into a living chapter of human history. 4. Tel Aviv, diversity and technology. If Jerusalem is faith, tradition, and silence, Tel Aviv is beach, innovation, and noise. While the country's spiritual capital pauses everything on Saturday, Tel Aviv doesn't even blink. The bars are packed, the cafes are crowded, and life goes on as if the whole world were a happy hour. It's like having two souls in the same body. Jerusalem wears a tunic, Tel Aviv goes with a tank top and flip-flops. Jerusalem prays, Tel Aviv invests in startups. Yes, the city is considered the Silicon Valley of the Middle East. There are more startups per square meter than in many European capitals. Waze, for example, was born there. Facial recognition, cybersecurity, artificial intelligence. All of that is already routine. But it's not just about technology, you know. Tel Aviv is also about beaches, heat, diversity, and a whole lot of freedom. There, you see everything. Orthodox people on one side, folks in bikinis sunbathing with their butts up, religious families strolling peacefully, and right next to them, you find LGBT couples walking hand in hand. And nobody cares. It's the picture of modern coexistence. And if you think Tel Aviv was already modern enough, just wait until you hear this. Tel Aviv hosts one of the biggest LGBT Pride Parades in the world. Yes, in the world. Every year, in June, the city turns into a true sea of colors. More than 250,000 people pack the streets, coming from all corners of the planet. It's music, parties, floats, tourists and locals celebrating together the right to be who they are, without fear and without shame. Just so you know, it's considered the biggest pride parade in the Middle East and all of Asia. And this is right in Israel. While Jerusalem follows the rhythm of prayers and tradition, Tel Aviv dances to the sound of freedom and diversity. The city embraces everything that's different. People of all religions, backgrounds, and orientations living side by side. There, no one hides. Tel Aviv is one of the few places in the region where love can be lived out in the open. And that, too, is part of Israel's identity. A country full of contrasts, where the past and the future coexist, not always peacefully, but always intensely. Hey, can you do me a favor, real quick? Take this video and send it to that couch activist friend of yours. You know the one, right? The one who wears a Che Guevara t-shirt, has a Palestinian flag in their profile, and swears Israel is the villain in the story. Now ask him, hey champ, would you have the guts to hold a gay pride parade in Gaza? Or are you just going to keep protesting from your air-conditioned living room with your iPhone in hand? Because here in Israel, the parade not only happens, it's huge. The biggest in the Middle East. Number 5, real life in Israel. So far we've talked about faith, innovation, diversity. But the truth is, living in Israel also means being ready for war. Always. So, this same country lives under rocket fire. It's surreal, but it's real. In Israel, everyone is a soldier at some point in their life. Man or woman, when you turn 18, you go to the army. And it's not just about marching in parades, painting walls and facades, you know. It's intense training, because there, war isn't just a possibility, it's routine. Imagine being at the market, in the middle of class, on the bus, and suddenly a siren goes off. You have seconds, just seconds, to run, to take cover, to pray, if that's your thing. Israel is a country surrounded by neighbors who don't accept its existence. It has already faced several wars and still faces attacks. From time to time, sirens sound across entire cities. That's the warning. Rockets coming from the Gaza Strip, from Hezbollah, or even threats from Iran. And then, there's no time to talk. People run, they take shelter. Schools, homes, businesses, everything has a bunker because an attack can happen at any moment. To defend itself, Israel created one of the most advanced systems in the world, the Iron Dome, an anti-aircraft system that intercepts and blows up rockets in the air before they fall on the cities. In many cases, the Iron Dome saves thousands of lives, but it doesn't stop the fear or the trauma. Life goes on, but always with one eye on the sky. It's common to see armed soldiers walking through the streets, beautiful women carrying their rifles in hand, on buses, on trains, on the beaches. They are part of the scenery because in Israel, war isn't an event, it's a possibility. And despite all that, people keep living with joy, with faith, with resilience. In Israel, peace is never guaranteed, but hope has never been abandoned. 6. A multilingual and multinational country. Israel is like a condo meeting that actually worked out, or almost did. There are Jews from Russia, Ethiopia, France, Argentina. There are Brazilians who became Israeli. There are Arabs who were born in Israel and speak Hebrew. There are Arab Christians, atheist Jews, you name it. More than 80 nationalities mixed together in a country smaller than Sergipe, a Brazilian state. It's a lot of people, from all sorts of places, living in the same spot and trying to get along. The official language is Hebrew, which was brought back to life after centuries of not being used. But on the streets you hear English, Arabic, Russian, French, Spanish. There are neighborhoods where it feels like you're in Europe. In others, it feels like the Middle East. And sometimes, all of that is packed into the same block. And to help newcomers, there's a system called Open, schools where immigrants learn Hebrew from scratch. It's kind of like an intensive course to help you become part of society. Oh, and don't think that all Jews are the same. There are the Orthodox, with black clothes and big hats. There are the secular, who don't follow any religion at all. There are Jews who believe in God, and there are Jews who only believe in the history. But there's something that unites all of them, the memory, the identity, the feeling of being back. A lot of people there were born outside of Israel, but when they set foot there, they feel like they've come home, even if they've never been there before. It's the kind of country where diversity isn't a trend, it's reality, it's a necessity. And that's what makes Israel a cultural melting pot that works, sometimes with some bumps along the way, but it works. 7. Landscapes that seem like miracles. Israel is that place where the map is deceiving. You look and think, desert, all dry. But then you get there and, bam! You see things that not even a sci-fi movie can explain. Let's start with the Dead Sea. It's not a sea, and it's not dead either, but it's the lowest point on Earth, about 430 meters below sea level. And you know what's even crazier? You don't sink. You can lie down in the water and float. It seems like magic, but it's just physics. The salinity is so high that it pushes your body up. Some people go there for skin treatments. Others, just to take the famous photo reading a newspaper while lying in the water. Now take a breath and get ready for the contrast. In the south of the country, there's the Negev Desert, a place that, logically, should be empty, barren, lifeless. but it's not. There you'll find wineries, kibbutzim, hiking trails, natural parks. And the jewel of the desert, the Moktesh Ramon crater, the largest erosion crater in the world. It looks like Mars, only with Bedouins, bicycles, and fire-colored sunsets. And you want to know the most impressive part? Israel turned this desert into productive land. With cutting-edge technology, they developed drought-resistant seeds, drip irrigation, recycled water, and even farming in salt. They literally make the land bloom where there was only sand. Is it a miracle? No, it's science with persistence. While many rich countries are still complaining about drought and water crises, Israel grows tomatoes in the middle of the desert and exports them. That's why people say, in Israel, even the impossible sprouts from the earth. 8. The power of innovation. Some countries have oil, some have territory. Israel has brains. And when I say that, it's not just a figure of speech. Israel has become an open-air laboratory. A country that lives in the midst of chaos, but produces technology as if it were living in a futuristic TV series episode. Ever heard of Waze? That app that tells you where there are speed cameras, accidents, traffic. Israeli. Facial recognition. Israeli. Drip irrigation system. Israeli. Digital security software that protects governments and banks all over the world. Guess. There's computer chips, vaccines, drones, algorithms, satellites, and even companies developing 3D printed human organs. And all of this in a country that's smaller than every Brazilian state except two, Sergipe and the Federal District. How is that possible? Because over there, innovation isn't just a buzzword for conferences, it's a matter of survival. They create technology because they have no other choice. The territory is tiny, water is scarce, and the neighbors are hostile. So they innovate, turning desert into farmland, turning threats into startups, turning war into algorithms. Israel is the second country in the world in number of startups per capita and third in access to venture capital. There, you see 60-year-old men starting companies, women founding startups, teenagers creating apps to export. While many rich countries are still debating gender-neutral pronouns, Israel has already launched the next global market trend. It's not magic, it's focus, it's culture, it's urgency. There, if you stop creating, you've already lost. What starts as defense becomes a global solution. Make it this far. Then comment Israel down below, just so I know who's with me, who sticks around till the end. And while you're at it, click on the video that's popping up on the screen, because there I show you the real deal, no filter, no makeup. We're in this together. See you next time.